Hello, everyone. Welcome to World Beyond Borders, exclusively on Nasir R. And before we start, I want to welcome all my guests, all my viewers, all my watchers. Okay, people. So I have Mr. Nasir Ayub with me today, and he has an exceptional profile. He has had two master's degrees. He has made his career in engineering, and he has recently established a firm for construction and in the name of Spectra Solutions, and he is having an immense 15 years of experience in the field, and I'm sure that he will have a lot to share with us. And here with me, I have Mr. Nasir Ayub. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello. Walaikum salam. Glad to be here.
Same here, same here. I'm very excited to host you today. I would start with, some questions. And first of all, I'll let my viewers know that we have 6 segments on the show. First of all, we will start with Sir's introduction and personal life, about how he started his career, where he belongs from, and about his a little bit about his education. So, where do you belong from, actually?
Uh, I belong from one of the agencies. It's a tribal area of Afghanistan. It's called Kuram Agency. So I'm basically from FATA. I belong
All
to a
right.
FATA region, and as far as my education is concerned, I have done double masters. I have completed my master in business systems from Australia, and then I proceeded and got my master of engineering science from Australia in 2010. So it's a bit of a brief intro about myself.
Amazing. So, sir, you mentioned about your education. You have, mashallah, very good educational background. Would you now please tell the viewers about why did you decide to study from Australia, and how did you get there?
That's a good question. Actually, it's everything started when I completed my bachelor's in Pakistan, uh, and then I had that desire that I could somehow the need that a foreign education could always help me more. So I always had that desire that I could achieve more by studying overseas. So that was something, a stimulus. And life outside Pakistan is always better. That's a perceivable notion everybody is brought up with in Pakistan, more or less everybody in my era. So that was the drive. Then I started applying everywhere, and I applied to US. US didn't take me on, so then I had no choice. But then I started and went to Australia, and there I completed my Master of Business Systems, which was more of a software development program. So in there, I've learned a lot about programming. I learned a lot about database management. I learned a lot about freelancing. How does freelancing work? And it given me a platform which instilled me the skills, and I started my company by the name of Naxtor Technologies in Australia. It was a software firm launched in 2003, and then I ran that for 5 years. I made a very good business out of it. I made a good, I would say, reasonable fortune out of it, and it was an outsourcing model. So I have to close the deals in Australia. I had that different products. One of the product was a warehousing solutions. I found out that in Australia there was a gap in the market at that time. There were lots of warehouses, small to medium sized warehouses, and that time when I done the survey of my area, so I found out that there is no systems in place. Everybody is doing manual tracking. They use the registers and stuff. So I had the skills. So I used to go to every
Which year was
warehouse.
that?
Yeah.
Which year?
So that was 2003 to 2009. I was doing that. So I have found out that there are a lot of a gap in the market at that time. So I tried to push that specific niche of warehousing solution in that niche. So it really helped me, and that's the way the business got going. And then I diversified different products, customized products. I sold it to North America also. I've sold lots of solution in Australia also. So everything was going good, and that's how it came along.
We have Ziar Maghan with us saying salam, wa alaikum assalam. Thank you so much
Walaikum
for.
salam.
He's a very dedicated watcher. He watches all my episodes, and I'm very glad to
Nice.
such viewers. I'm very thankful to such viewers who, kind of it's encouraging for me as well, because it motivates me to do more and more. So, sir, I would like you to answer a little about your work life, once how you stepped into it and how you decided to choose your career. You said you did your masters in development and that side, and then how engineering comes up with it, and then how you decided your career. It's kind of I
Actually,
relate,
yeah.
because being in that age group where you are literally uncertain about the direction of your life, and you're literally looking for the direction, it's obvious that you are confused about what you want to do in your life. So I can totally relate, but of course I'm sure there are a lot of viewers who are still in that situation. Before you answer that question, I'm going to take another salam. It's from Saad Uzair. Salam from Munich, Germany.
Walaikum salam.
Saad, and welcome to the show. I'm getting your comment for the first time in my show. I'm not sure if you are a regular watcher or not, but thank you for joining and watching. Sir, please go ahead and answer that question. Answer that ambiguity we have.
Your question is basically about the transition from IT to engineering.
That's right.
I would answer that in this way, that when I was doing the IT development work, everyone has different temperament in their life. Some like doing things certain way, some like doing differently. So I would be very honest and candid here that I've been doing lots of software development work for 5 years. I was doing programming. Sometimes I used to do 12 hours straight programming for the clients. I had a deadline to meet. 2 days were left, and we need to code 25,000 lines of code. And those things were like pretty, at that time, it was a small company. And somehow I was doing that thing for 3 to 4 years, and it got off the hook in a way that in that time, I found out that there are more interesting opportunities out there. There are more interesting opportunities. Somehow, it got attracted me, because the environmental management was something at that time was pretty open in Australia. So there were lots of jobs coming up, and many things are happening there. So I decided to basically take a break from IT, and I start to proceed and commence on the engineering aspect of things. So that has it's a transition at that time. So I was pretty happy, and I'm still very happy that I took that decision, moving from IT to civil engineering field. Yeah.
I'm sure it wouldn't have happened like in a night or in a day. It would have taken few months or maybe years. But it's the main thing is that if it turns out to be good for you, and if it's something that you are easy with, that you're comfortable with, you're always glad about it. I'm going to take another comment from George Nelson. Hello again. George is also a very regular watcher of my show. Hello, George. Welcome to the show. And we have a new guest today, so I hope you enjoy this episode as well. So now I want to move to the next question that I have regarding your life, and it's of course going to be about your family life. And that question is very general. I want to ask that how important it is to have your parents' support, have your friends' support, family support you when you are on the journey to create a career for yourself. When you see, not everyone is born with a silver spoon, and not everyone just succeeds overnight. It's a long journey, and there are a lot of ups and downs in this journey. So how important it is to get that support from the people around you, to people that are important to you?
It's incredibly important. In my life, my father has given me a lot of support, and my father has made me the man I am today. The kind of advice that he has given me from time to time in various fields, whether it's a health or whether it's a business or it's a family, along with the family, that has valued a lot, because my father has been a very open-minded person, and he has lots of experience, and though he hasn't had that foreign exposure, but he has given me the time, from time to time, the kind of advice that he has given me over different aspects of life, that has changed me totally. And to your question, family definitely helps. Without it, it wouldn't be possible. I mean, just imagine, what can you do alone? I mean, how far can you push alone? Even with your friends, you cannot push it that along. So your family is the most critical factor, the foundation on which you build yourself. So very important.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, Nasir, I think that's enough for about your life. And now I'm going to move towards our next segment, and it's going to be about your financial life, because once you start a journey, your education, your career path, your everything, your struggle, then comes the main part, which you have been struggling for years and months, and literally burning your blood and fuel for it. So it's your financial life. So when did you know that, okay, now I am financially stable, I'm earning something, I'm earning enough in my life right now?
Uh, Financial freedom is different, has got different meaning to different people. We in Pakistan take it this way, that if you are earning over, I would say, 10 million a month, or maybe 1 million a month, or 1 million a year, for some would be enough. Financial freedom is has got very different meaning to me. I take it on a different aspects. Financial freedom itself is not just wealth. It's more of a holistic approach to life. Is freedom, so-called financial freedom? But to me, that was, and your question is when that got started. So I would say that I was always like very passionate about things. I was very willing to put extra miles. I was passionate about doing things. Even my early schooling, or when I was doing my FSC, I was very passionate about things. So I used to take extra miles. I used to, I wasn't being a very normal sort of a person who could just go to college, come back and do things. I was always trying experiment, so many things. So when I finished my bachelor's degree in Pakistan, I've decided that now is the time to move and make some difference. So that's how the financial freedom elements also kicked in. So I tried it to be not dependent on my parents. So I started to applying overseas and tried to get my education. So that was the time I was planning to get independent. So so-called financial independent. To your question, I think that would answer that.
That is, why I asked this question, because every time I get a different answer from a different person. This is one question that is in the form of a segment, because maybe every person's life is different, maybe every person's journey is different, but eventually we are all after one thing, and obviously success or maybe stability in life. And then when I ask people the meaning of financial freedom for them or financial stability for them, it's always different. I always get different answers, and I always enjoy them. And trust me, I always write. So,
You're always right.
yes, I always write those answers, because it's very important for me, because somehow you want to relate your own thought to others' thoughts, and make sense out of it. So, there's going to be one more question. It's going to be related to the same thing. When you said that
Sure.
it has different meanings for everyone, it has, different, but there is a time when you realize it. When I was younger, when I was 18 or 19, all I wanted in my life is diamonds and big cars and, stuff like that. So once you grow up, about like 5 years later or like 6 years later, you are like, no, it doesn't make any sense. No matter how much diamonds you have, how many cars you have, or how much big home you're living in, there's more to it. I mean, you realize the true worth of money. So it comes, I think it's more related to wisdom that you get with the passage of time and the experience you have with life. So it's more of, interrelated. When did you exactly realize that, okay, the true worth of money, what money actually is, and, the value of money? How much do you need? Do you really need that kind of money that, going to drive you insane or not? You answer that question while
Yeah.
I bring my
Yeah,
green tea.
sure. No, I think we have to understand one thing. Where is the money, financial freedom element comes from? Financial element basically come from so-called, I would say, greed. Why would I say that? Because the way the financial systems work in the world, which is run by the debt, which is basically run by debt, the more you consume, the more the economy grows, the gross domestic product grows. So in our time, or you can take the baby boomers born in 1980 onwards, or so you can see that in the last 4 decades we are basically we are very much hearing about financial independence. We're hearing about money, the greed is coming in, and we are just we are so much susceptible to things that we want on everyday basis. So that thing is everybody is basically focused on that. So that's why you said that everybody wants this thing, and I want financial freedom where I could earn 10 million, 100 million per year, or maybe 1 billion per year. So that's a financial freedom for me. But for me, it's over years I have changed. I have studied the philosophies. I've studied Buddhism philosophies. I've studied Islam also, which of course in more detail. I've studied other isms. So I personally think that it means different things to different people. But where I'm that was a general definition of the things. But where of course where I'm concerned, I definitely need money is the not the solution to all the problems, but it is definitely solution to some of the problems. So, and you needed money, there's no way out. So, and having focused on that, the amount of money that I need, alhamdulillah, I have that. So I'm pretty satisfied. I hope
Yeah,
that answers your question.
yes, definitely. That is because, I have seen people in, chasing money like anything in this world. Like they forget what they want in life. They forget about true values of life. And, they're chasing money like anything in this world. Like they don't want anything else in this world. They forget about the peace of mind, value of family, and everything. So I have seen people, but um, I have realized before even I have made that kind of money, I realized the true value of other things in life. And I realized that money has very less value. We are after lifestyle at the moment instead of bringing value to our lives. Instead of bringing value to the quality of life, we are chasing lifestyle dreams, which is not right. So that was one thing. Like we are in kind of a competition to wear expensive clothes, have expensive cars, have if someone in our family has bought something that's branded, then we will also want that. I've seen people do that, and it has somehow stopped making sense for me. It's not like I wouldn't lie. I wouldn't lie if I say that I never wanted those things. I did, but
Yeah.
then you just kind of change the perception that you have. So you pretty much answered my questions regarding your financial life, because I'm very clear now that since you have tremendous experience. If I talk about myself, I might have a long way to go, but you have tremendous experience, and experience is everything. So I always enjoy learning, and I'm sure that all the viewers are enjoying as well, because this is a true privilege. When we tell people something out of our experience, it should be something that benefits them, instead of trying everything by yourself. You should learn from others as well, and this is very important.
I think that's very important. I would appreciate you start one segment. This segment which you're doing maybe for 5 minutes. I mean that's how your program runs. But in future, I would appreciate you run a segment entirely on economic freedom, financial freedom. How does the greed work? How does the financial systems work? So people could understand where they stand, and that could it won't be a very detailed topic on investing in forex or option stocks or discussing about repo markets, nothing like that. At least give them proper feedback on where the common man stands today. So that segment could be something of value to you in the future.
Definitely. I love a written suggestion on my email for this. I'm very welcoming towards more suggestions. Yes, I don't consider, although this platform is my brainchild, but I believe that it's for everyone, and all the great ideas are welcome. So, with that point, I'll move to our next segment, and it's about your views on World Beyond Borders. What were your feelings when you heard the name World Beyond Borders, and you realized that what's the context of my show, and when I introduced you to the show, what were your feelings? What did you expect out of it?
I, to be very honest, I've been very amazed about what you're doing. That's the need of the time. If you look at the kind of pandemic that we are in, the world beyond borders will open up so many opportunities that nobody could imagine. The digital landscape would be changing, and it will that would be the need. So, world beyond border platform would unite so many stakeholders, and get the things done, make things more productive. So in hindsight, I think that's the best initiative you have taken. My suggestion would be to take it way further, like push it more, so that in the process it adds value, the productivity increases for different stakeholders, and that's how I think. So that's what I think. Keeping in mind the digital landscape, great initiative.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. I listened very patiently and carefully. And when you told me about expanding it and bringing more value, what I have planned right now is that this is going to be converted into a platform. Basically, this is not just an online web series. It's going to turn into a platform that's going to be a means of connectivity and networking for all the people that are part of my show as viewers or as guests or as speakers or as mentors. You are all going to be part of this platform. And this is basically to create more mutualistic symbiotic relationships where none of the parties have to invest monetarily, but only invest in terms of your skills and time. And then you find someone compatible and you match with them. Let's say you are a good graphic designer and I am a good web developer. We combine our skills and we create something new that could be beneficial, and that could be a revenue model, a source of earning for both of us. So this is my remote vision for the platform that I'm doing. And then yeah, as you know that about my travel company as well. Once inshallah this COVID-19 situation is over, and I can't wait for the time when I can literally take this platform to places, countries, and unite people under the platform. So obviously vision is bigger, but let's hope for the best. And for now, that's why I started it as a digital platform. So I'm very, very, very thankful for your suggestion, and I'll definitely count it.
Sure.
Now I will move to our main segment, and it's about today's topic. For those who don't know, our topic for today is entrepreneurship and engineering. Because I asked the smallest question, that how did you turn, but now we are going to get into the details of it. That you started as you did your IT thing, then you shifted into engineering, and then you shifted into becoming an entrepreneur. I'm pretty sure that it takes a whole lot of a process, and basically every person is kind of polishing themselves to eventually become who they actually are. So how has your journey been? How did you take so many turns
Uh,
and
uh, I just would like to clarify one thing that entrepreneur could be anyone could become an entrepreneur, whether someone doing information technology and starting a company, or whether it's an engineering someone, or whether it's a travel agency, just like yourself. So anybody could be entrepreneur, but there are few predefining skills that defines entrepreneur more successful than the others. And one of them is the most important skill that entrepreneur should have, which I define three things an entrepreneur should have: the uh, lead by example. She should lead by example. Others should follow that. And the other thing is the delegation, how you delegate things, control control. So you need to delegate and control. That defines the entrepreneur. These three things, we made it so difficult for people that do the entrepreneurship course, 6 weeks course, 10 weeks course, 20 weeks course, and you'll become an entrepreneur. I don't buy that. What I'm concerned is that anyone could become entrepreneur, provided he or she has those skills: leadership, delegation, and control. And how can you do that? You need two things. One is the communication skills, which is the most important thing that you need to have. That binds your ability to become an entrepreneur. How you talk to people, how you get trust from other people. So that communication skills is the binding force in which to instill those things that I discussed. So to your question, how did I become entrepreneur? I would say there's a big debate going on saying that entrepreneurs are made, not born. Some says they are born, not made. I don't get into that debate at all. What my personal experience is that I have never worked under anyone in my 16 years, not from day one. I finished my education. I started Naxtor Technologies. I was the boss at that time. I had about 40 employees at that time. I finished that. I completed my another degree, and then I come back to Pakistan. So I started another big company, which I've got 100 employees. So those sort of elements basically define an entrepreneur, where the ingredients, one should look at ingredients of being an entrepreneur. If the basic ingredients are there for a person, he or she could be defined as an entrepreneur. Otherwise, she doesn't have the leadership skills and he cannot delegate, cannot take the risk, I don't think that person should go into entrepreneurship. It should go straight into the job, because everybody is not the same. Though the fingers in the human hands are not the same. So one shouldn't be bothered about that and shouldn't feel limited if he or she is not an entrepreneur. So what? At the end of the day, you need to basically be productive to the
yeah.
society. So that what matters.
And the thing is that they say that entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Just like if someone believes in me and they ask me that, okay, you are going to be a racer someday, but if it's not in me, I can't drive cars crazy, and I can't race, and so I can't, no matter how much I practice, I might get a little good at it, get a little better at it, but I wouldn't turn into a racer. So it's something that you need to know. Whatever you decide to start in your life, you need to know three things: that either you're going to stick to your goals, are you going to stay persistent? Are you dedicated enough? Is your desire to achieve that goal strong enough? Because these are three things that you need to know about yourself. Because if you jump into something that you're sure that you can't do, and maybe you quit and you are maybe about it, don't do it. Do only the kind of things that you're sure about. And always know before starting anything, always know what it takes. If you want to become an entrepreneur, always discuss with people who are already into it. Know about the cons, know about the cons more than the pros, because That's something that you should know, that if you can endure or not, if you can take it or you can't take it. That's
Sure.
definitely that's definitely a
Yeah,
way. And
one thing I would, yeah, please go on.
we have a comment, and Zia Makan says one should be multitask. First, I will take your another point, and then we answer this comment.
What was what was I saying? I just lost it. So the last point that I was in my, it
All
was in
right.
my mind. Somehow I lost it. Yeah.
Zia Makan says that we should be multitasking. He says that we should be doing
Uh,
everything.
One should be multitask is something, it's something beyond me, to be very honest. I cannot be multitask at the same time. This is just this is something people, these buzzwords, multitasking, coming in, people saying, you can hear many people backing it up or making those words, multitasking, multitasker, be more productive, do more things in less time. These are the words that are created. And one thing I really don't like about the social media and few other people that comes up with so many things and try to basically confuse people. Things should be kept very simple. The point is that if you multitask, the amount of time that you use it, the amount of time that is wasted in shifting from one task to another is about 5 to 10 minutes. The moment I'm talking to you, if I open my mobile and I'm starting browsing it, the kind of logic that's going in my mind, if I have to come back to that logic, it would take me another 10 minutes. So how can I be multitask at the same time? It's just the buzzwords that we are hearing, and it has no significance, and it's got negative productivity, not even zero. I would say it's got negative productivity. So I don't get into these words. And Mr. Zia, I hope I have answered your question, but this is just the professionally I have tested all these things out, and then I have come up with this solution. So that's why I'm
I
saying
don't
that.
know, but I'm not that experienced enough, and I'm definitely trying to, I may know hundreds of people in my life, but I'm trying to know more people. And from what I believe in, I think that every mind operates differently. You should know if your mind is capable of multitasking, if your mind is capable of doing multiple things at a time, or if you are someone who is not a multitasker. If you know that you're someone who loses concentration quickly, you should know yourself. From what I believe in is that you know yourself better, and you should read yourself, you should study yourself, and then act accordingly. Do not repeat the same kind of mistakes. If you fail at multitasking once, don't do it again. Don't try to do it over and over again in order to succeed it. Because
I
even
exactly,
no,
exactly. I would like to add one more thing to the multitasking. Multitasking basically work on tasks that are more repetitive. That goes into your subconscious. One is the conscious mind. One is the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind control 95% of your actions. Conscious mind controls 5% of your actions. So the multitasking elements of very basic tasks like riding a bicycle or things like that, and talking to mobile, riding a bicycle and using a mobile phone, you can do both of them. That's been programmed in your subconscious mind. So 95% of your activities are run from subconscious mind. But at the same time, conscious mind cannot handle multitasking. This is very important for people to understand. I cannot do two things at the same time. This is also even true not doing or running three businesses at the same time. This is a big thing that many people don't understand. Running two or three businesses is from scratch, saying that we can run three businesses, we are intelligent people, but they cannot. You have to do one thing at a time. So that's why project management, you see schedules are there. So if you look at project scheduling, you have different tasks. So you have start to finish, finish to finish, finish to start to start. Those four tasks are there in any project management course. They're there because one activity is finished, the other one starts. So that's how you do things diligently.
that is very true. And there's one more thing that I like to add it that I am a serial entrepreneur, but it's not like I started everything at once and I'm trying to take all things together to the finish line. It doesn't happen like that. I started off with one thing. I made it reach to a level where I don't need to, put that kind of energy into it. It's kind of running automatically right now. And then I started the next thing. Then I put all my energy into it, and then once it reaches somewhere, then I start the next thing. So it's not like if you're a serial entrepreneur, it means that you start like 5 to 6 businesses at a time, and then you take them to the finish line at once. So yes, I completely get your point, and
Yeah, and that's another input for you, Anushka. Start one segment on that also, because there are lots of people in the group that you have would share a lot of good things about it. In that segment, you can explain more about the elements that makes a good entrepreneur. So something you can redefine that. I don't want to run a course here. I don't think a course would be sufficient, but providing proper information to the viewers is important. Like I've been through 20 years, 15 years of studying, and then I filtered out knowledge. So my aim is to provide proper feedback, proper information. I don't want to jumble things up and confuse viewers. That's something, the last thing that I would do. So that's something you can launch. I mean, you're good at it. So
the thing is that the aim of this platform is create something that is abundant of all kind of information that could be useful when it comes to entrepreneurship or career building. So that is exactly the aim of this platform. And obviously we have inshallah a long way to go, and a lot of topics to cover in this, and entrepreneurship specifically, and for youth and for startups and everything. And inshallah I'm going to take you on other sessions as well, where we could discuss about other things as well. So that was a very clear point of view about entrepreneurship. I would like you to tell about your firm now, which you say that you have established in Pakistan, and kind of work it does, and how it started.
yeah. Sure. I started the firm in 2012. I came from Australia by the end of I think start of 2012. So I started my company at the end of the 2012 by the name of Spectra Engineering Solutions, and it was a new venture, started from scratch. I took on lots of engineering projects. I'm doing lots of different infrastructure projects. I'm doing lots of feasibility design engineering projects for the biggest projects that Pakistan has ever come across. Like the one that we have just concluded involves feasibility studies of 1,700 kilometers line, which is a major part of the China-Pakistan economic corridor. That is a part of it. So it was a great journey. First 3 years were really difficult, but I wouldn't say it was very difficult, because at that time the stroke of the luck was there also. People say luck comes with lots of practice, or hard work makes you more lucky. But somehow at the first 3 years, I had a lot of luck also at the same time. It was difficult, but I had a lot of luck. So and then I was like passionate, disciplined, in a way that discipline is something very important in life. So running the company affairs on a daily basis, looking at the key performance indicators, client relationship is very important. In Pakistan, I would say it's extremely difficult stuff, the client relationship. It's the most difficult thing, because in Pakistan you need to do things out of the like you have to think out of the box, literally. By out of the box, I mean you need to look at the ways to make your client happy. They're very demanding in a way, and especially working with the government agency, government organizations, as opposed to working with donor agencies. It's very difficult. It's very difficult, and one needs to be very disciplined and patient in working with these organizations. So it's a difficult terrain to be in, working with the government. But at the same time, you need to diversify your portfolio also. Like you need to target projects that are in different sectors. So it was an excellent journey. But just to add on a little more thing here is that the journey wouldn't be completed if I didn't have the skills that were required. which includes the leadership or delegations, control. You need to buy the time value of money of your employees. You are not allowed to work 18 hours or 14 hours a week. This is something I'm telling many people, many organizations, that you cannot put yourself head under the water. You cannot do that. You have to allow delegate. If you cannot do that, sorry, you're not a good entrepreneur. You need to make sure that delegation is something that saves your time. You're basically buying their hours. So as an entrepreneur in that journey of running this company, there are lots of talented people out there. So you need to make sure that you buy their time value. Once you buy the time value of money, so that comes in. So you buy the blocks, and that turns into productivity, and that chunks saves your time. So it's very important to work that way. And it's been a good ride, but in these times, especially in this hour where everything is halted, one has to be very patient. There's no other way. This would have a snowball effect on the economy. It would have across many sectors, across different sectors, it would have a snowball effect. Like, it will destroy many businesses, put many people out of work. But here at this time, you need to be very patient. That's what this is how we should work. Can you hear me? I cannot hear you.
So we have another comment from Ali Haider, and he says, a person who just has the knowledge of maximum things, has much courage of doing different things, can be a multitasker. So I think people are very much intrigued by our debate on multitasking. And from what I can gather is, let's say what he meant to say, Ali Haider, is that, let's say I'm a mother. I'm actually a mother. I'm a wife, and I am a businesswoman as well, and I am a blogger and mentor and everything. So the thing is that multitasking is something that some things are in your subconscious. If I am talking to you people right now, I also have eyes over my son. He's running around and I'm watching him, and you might not have noticed, but he has asked me a few questions, and I replied to him as well. So this is something that's multitasking. Now you have to understand that if it is like two businesses at a time, okay, we have let's suppose I'm running my travel company and my IT company at the same time. That's not possible, because I cannot, even if I do it somehow, it wouldn't be good enough. It wouldn't be my 100%. You can multitask. It's not like I'm saying that you can't multitask.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello. I cannot hear you. I think it's not. It has just got off the hook. So I'll just take the opportunity to answer the question about multitasking. Multitasking, as I explained earlier, is like doing two or more activities or tasks at the same time. So your question was, what if I have the knowledge of doing it? Wouldn't it make me a good multitasker? My answer is still no. Because doing task, first you need to define what sort of task you are doing. What kind of task? That two sides of the task. One is simple work, Another one is the deep work. Anushka, I'm just trying to answer the question from the viewer.
Yes, I'm sorry, I lost my internet connection. So I just got back. It's too much windy over here today, and I am on the other network. I don't know why it got affected. Yes, I've been listening that you are trying to answer. You are trying to answer Ali Heather's question.
Yeah, Ali Heather was saying that if I have the knowledge more than anybody else on certain tasks, wouldn't it make me a good multitasker? So
It's
said
very
no. Still,
interesting.
I said no because there are two kind of works, two kind of streams. One is the deep work. Another one is the light work.
That is
Deep
exactly
work.
what I was trying to explain over here. That if my
Deep,
son is asking me something, it's in my subconscious, and it's been like 5 years that I have been grooming him, so I know exactly how to, tackle his problems and how to,
I think you're still camera is not working. Can you shift places? Oh.
So that is something that we should see that how it impacts everything around us, and this is exactly how you should be managing your time. And this is exactly how you should be
Yeah, it's too rainy outside. I think it has affected your internet connection. I you could retry. You can uh, fix it. I think it's somehow disconnected. I'm not sure if I'm even live, uh, but I'm still holding on. And let's see. It's very interesting discussions going on about journal entrepreneurship and how what sort of elements are there and how what makes a good entrepreneur, and lots of debate is going on multitasking is something that's very important topic also, but there are lots of social media content out there. It could take you at least a month consuming that daily, even 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day. You consume them, still that would take you about 30 days. So my aim is just to keep things simple, and whatever I have deciphered, whatever I have consumed and come out and have applied and made me successful, I'm just sharing that. So that I can still cannot hear you. It's a live. No.
again.
Yeah. Now it's back. Now you're back.
It got interrupted again. I shut the fan off so that people can hear what kind of weather it is over here, and I'm suspecting कि जल्दी light भी चली जाएगी. I mean, I will shortly face light cut as well.
No,
Power
we
short.
still got about we 5 or 10 minutes of our work is left, so no worries. Shoot
Exactly.
questions.
I'm sure that you have answered Ali Haider properly and Zia Armagan as well. I'm sure that you have answered them. I'll listen to that later. But we will. I'll move to my next question, and it's. I hope people are clear about multitasking. Multitasking is something that I'll just cut it short about it. My point of view. My point of view is that you can't multitask two things that require same amount of concentration and same amount of energy. Then you have to prioritize. Even when I have to put a lot of energy in my 2 to 3 companies at a time, I divide my time. I know that if I have to spend 2 hours over there, then I have to dedicate 2 hours completely to my IT company and 2 hours completely to my e-commerce businesses and so on. So it's not like I might be able to manage my both e-commerce businesses at a time, but it's not like I can manage my e-commerce business and my travel company at a time. You are the strategic part. Like Nasir sir mentioned over here, you have to dedicate the responsibilities casually. It's basically you're buying people's time. So once you're hiring people, you can call yourself a serial entrepreneur or multitasker because you are the brain of everything. So what happens is that you start, like I set my IT company, then I dedicated it. Now I have a team of like 4 or 5 people managing things, and I just have to give the strategic instructions in how to manage things and task things. I just give them make a post like this or write a letter like this. So I'll be just giving them, but it's not like I'm doing something from scratch. The other thing is, it's not like we are saying that you can't do it. What we are trying to impose is that you may be able to do it, but you might not be able to do it as good as you could do it if you are concentrating on it, if you're totally concentrating on it, if you're totally dedicated to it. So
That's
I think that has made things very clear. And we have another comment, and George says compartmentalization is also very important. Exactly, that's what you are saying. That you will go mad otherwise. I mean, you can do this thing for a month or 2 or 3 or maybe an year, but you can't keep working like this forever. You'll go crazy. So you need to systemize things. You need to compartmentalize things.
and Anushka, one thing is that multitasking is very closely associated with a person's productivity also.
Mm.
If you need to be productive, you need to be doing task in a manner that makes the graph going straight up, not the graph going uh, constant or graph going down. So you need to have the graph going up. So the multitasking involves productivity. I would give you one example. When I was in Australia, when I was working with, I did work on a temporary basis with some company. I said I didn't work, but I worked for a very short time. But some very good companies like one of the telco giant in Australia. When the moment when we started working, we were being told not to attend to mobiles. If we have to call someone, you have specific times, like 2 hours of work, and then you have 15 minutes of time that you would be allowed to call someone. So there's a reason behind it why they were doing it. It's a distraction. The distraction, and when you're doing a call kind of work where lots of your intensive brain is involved, like managing your clients, so that distraction would always be in your stuck in the mobile phone or the last call that you had from your, let's say, from your mother or someone who needed money at that time, and you don't have the money, so you'll be thinking on that part. So
Instead of focusing on your job.
instead of focusing on that, so, and definitely compartmentalization is also important. But I go for very easy topics. I don't want to confuse viewers. I would like to give a very straightforward and very easy answer rather than confuse users. So I wouldn't go more into the compartmentalization aspect, because that could confuse, make things pretty, keep it simple and easy. That's the idea.
Yes, exactly. My father always, says one thing to me when he sees me, putting in so much hard work, and so my father always says one thing to me, and he says that why. Oh, he first asked me that why am I, making myself crazy and working hard day and night, and then he sees no reason for it because, of course, he sees that I'm married, I live with my husband and everything, so he sees no excuse for a girl to be working so hard. But although he's proud of me and everything, but he asks me, and whenever he calls me, he says to me that do not overburden your mind more than you can take. Do not pressure yourself more than you can take. Those are his only suggestions. And literally, last year, I was literally overburdening myself with work. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't taking care of my health. I was just working day and night, working and working and working. And And just like you mentioned that when I looked at my productivity graph, it wasn't good. I saw myself working very hard day and night, multitasking, compartmentalizing, and everything. But when I saw at my productivity graph, I saw nothing. And then I took my father's advice. I started to narrow it down. I literally shut off two two businesses that were in the pipeline at the moment. By then, that's I'm talking about last year, because I saw that it's not possible. It's not humanly possible to be running seven businesses at a time. So I shut it off, and it was breaking my heart because they were such good ideas and they were unique and no one else was doing them at that time. But I had to prioritize and I had to shut them off
Yeah,
because I love them so much.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I would like to add one point here that we are not discouraging entrepreneurs
Exactly.
from doing more than one ventures. We are not. I'm not against that. I'm in favor of that, provided that the two or three businesses doesn't take the amount of time,
Hmm.
the amount of time that's been taking. Like, let me give you an example. Since I've been doing lots of business investing work. So I feel that the good model is where you could invest some money and buy that business shares, like maybe 5% or 10%, and and that business runs in the shadow. So I mean, you're not active in that business. So
You're a
you're
sleeping partner,
passive.
yes.
You're a
You're a
sleeping partner.
sleeping partner.
So there are two things that has come out of our discussions, that not to start more than one business from scratch. You can start one business provided you are an investor in that business. And if you do not have the investment, then leave it. Start with an idea that could pay you well in the long term. I can talk for hours on this, but let's stick to this. Let's stick to the topic. Yeah.
All right. So I have a comment from Ali Heather. I really appreciate you both, especially Ms. Anushka, for that much valuable knowledge and time. Thank you, Ali Heather. And to all the watchers,
Welcome.
I hope you have subscribed to my YouTube channel as well. If not, please go ahead and subscribe. Please make sure to subscribe because it kind of motivates me to keep on doing my work with passion, and motivation is all you need to keep growing. And yes, as long as multitasking is concerned, now we'll move to segment 5 and we will start summarizing our today's episode. So we talked about Mr. Ayub, Nasir Ayub's journey, his education, his college degrees, and then his career choices, how he started off with the IT career, and in 4 or 5 years back in 2002 to 2005, etc., he made a good, company in Australia where he worked very good, had 40 employees, and did a lot of work in creating softwares and stuff. And then he switched to engineering as he came to Pakistan, and then he made a lot of contacts over here in Pakistan and did a huge projects that earned him good enough, and today he's very happy with whatever the finance, in terms of finances and everything, and he's happy with the career and business choices that he made in his life, because whatever he is today, he's contented with it. And trust me, all you need after 10 years from now, I'm sure a lot of people watching me right now are entrepreneurs or startup owners, and so just keep this in mind, that whatever you're doing, by the end of the day, all you need is to be contented with your journey. So whatever choices you're going to make right now, please be sure that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you are happy with your choices. And that's all what matters. Money does not matter. The amount of money does not matter. But what matters is the value of life you're going to live. The choices that you make are going to define the value of your life. So it's very important that you are sure about the choices you make, and you are sure that what each choice is going to bring you. You should be sure about the consequences of your every decision, and you should be happy with. That's what wisdom is. That's when you know that you're wise enough to take your decisions, because you can't always be having someone by your side, your parents, your elder brother, siblings, whoever. You can't always have people telling you what to do. And you would know that you have started to make right choices, right decisions, when they turn out to be good for you. And you would also know that you have started to make good choices when you know the consequences of your choices. As long as you are making decisions without knowing the consequences, you are going way. So please be very definite about your goals, very definite about your life, very definite about what you want in life. You can't just go vague, because you're going to waste your life, your time, and everything. So that was today's summary. As long as multitasking is concerned, we also quite summarized it. And we said that it all depends on your time. Time is everything. If you are doing a business that compulsory requires 12 hours a day, you can't run multiple businesses with that one, because you won't be doing any good either to yourself nor to your business. So if you are doing one business that requires only a couple of hours a day or half an hour or something, let's suppose I'm running an e-store, I can run 4 e-commerce stores right now, because it doesn't require me to put in my 12 hours in it. Even if I spend like 2 hours to each e-commerce platform, they'll be doing fine. They'll be doing better than anything if I have the right team to run it. That is also very important. And I'm putting it in summary that Sir mentioned, that we should always dedicate our tasks. We are basically buying time of like-minded people to help us grow with our work and expand our team, because you can't do everything on your own. So that was pretty much it from today's episode summary. And if you have any further questions, please go ahead and ask before I want to move to the last segment. I want to ask how to handle difficulties with your decision to pursue the aim or business.
Difficulties with you.
I didn't quite understand your question, Ali Heather. You are asking that you are having difficulties in making a decision concerning your career or business. Is that your question? I think that's what he means. He's trying to. I think he's having some kind of trouble in taking decisions.
Decisions, like he's saying how to make informed decisions, right?
Decision to pursue the aim or business.
Yeah, how to make informed decision in business. And decision, we have been taught in school. Yeah,
exactly. You just have to write pros and cons and go with the best option.
We've been taught in school to build an analytical mind that has the reasoning. The mind should have reasoning. So the amount of information that you gather over years, you should decipher the true meaning, and you make decision. Informed decision is everything, and that comes when you do a lot of research. You should be a person who is learning on daily basis. That goes without saying. Everybody's backing it up, including Warren Buffett, who reads about 500 pages per day. Is his consumption about 2 books a week? So why is more informed in decisions? The only reason, and he's doing very well in stock exchanges. When even right now in this crisis, I still think that the Warren Buffett would be coming out pretty well in this crisis. He might be the richest man after Jeff Bezos, is because he says that I always try to, in order to get informed decision and learn on daily basis. I'm saying the world is full of information. It's after industrial revolution, we've come into an information age. So the information age is there are a lot of social media channels. We are talking to each other, people listening to us, lots of books available. I would rather say that try to take one lane, try to take one road map, one path of where you want to be, what's your purpose, where you want to be. Don't distract yourself on doing everything at the same time, learning everything at the same time. Take one roadmap and don't distract yourself. And I think that's where you will learn a lot and making more informed decision, including in your business.
That's amazing answer, because I hope Ali Haider, that pretty much helps you understand that about decision making and stuff. And yes, he meant that if he wants to do business, how he should handle that. I think it all comes with experience, with the passage of time. There's no rule book for it, but there are two things to it. I guess I don't know what sir has to say, but I'll definitely let sir speak on it. But what I think is that you should learn from others' experiences. Also, let yourself, get in the process. Just fall into it. Just let yourself fall into it, because I see it as the
Yeah.
only way.
I think decided to a business, how to decides to do a business, how to handle the pressure. The look, I've like in my earlier segment, I said that there are two kind of people. One is entrepreneur, one is non-entrepreneur, who is the job seeker or job doer. First of all, do a little test. Define yourself first, whether you want to pursue that lane, entrepreneurship, or you want to take a job. If you want to first clarify that part. Once you decided that you want to take entrepreneurship lane, then there are few prerequisites. Either you could develop that, say, no more than 1 year or so. The two, three things. The pressure that you take in business is where you need to have a very good communication skills. You need to understand people. You need to have the buzzword is very important. If you have time, go and do some research on emotional intelligence. That's very important because emotional intelligence defines. You look at the other person through his prerogatives, through his lens. So you need to, once you understand people, once you've been honest with yourself and with the people you're working with, automatically you things will move in the right direction, and your business would grow. So don't get confused at this point. If you're a young guy and you getting confused, I would say don't get confused. Just take a little time, take 1 year or so. First, define your prerogatives, where you want to be, and then once that's set, you've decided for yourself the career that you want to take. Then just jump into it, but making sure the fundamentals are right in doing so.
That's amazing. I hope he understood this part as well. And now, since we have been, the show has gone over an hour now, and now I'll move towards the closing part. And before we leave and before we say our goodbyes, I want you to please give some closing remarks to the viewers and watchers right now. And
Closing remarks, like summarizing whatever I've learned in my lifetime in
yes,
2 minutes, right?
yes,
that's the most difficult question I have ever encountered in my life, honestly.
but
So
it's
I would say,
important.
yeah, I would say that uh, everything comes down to two things, just two things in life: the the passion that keeps you going, never giving up on life, never giving up on your dreams. That's something very important, and that comes from the belief systems that you have, the values that you have gathered over years. Make sure you have the right values, right mindset, and right values. Values define like what you are today. So make sure you have the right values. If you do not have the right values and you go with the herd mentality is like what this person is doing or what the other person is doing, I'll be doing the same thing. If that guy has 3 houses, I want to build the fourth house. Don't go into that side of things. Have very strong beliefs and just doing things that pleases you. This is a summary of that's a crux of it. From that crux, everything flows. So if you have the belief and not giving up, if you do not have passion, I think that's the like leaking water from the so it's make sure that it's your foundation is strong, so then you can build on your life for the next 10, 15, 30, 40, 50, 70 years. So from that, everything flows.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much, sir, for coming
Well,
to the show and sharing all the knowledge so generously to all the people watching you. And I'm sure that me, including everyone else, learned a great deal from you. And I'll keep on inviting you to the show for some another topic. So before you leave, I have something for you, and I would like, since I can't give it to you personally, I'd like to present it to you digitally. It's a
thank you.
certificate for you, and it is to certify that Nasir Ayub is officially believer of a world beyond borders and stands strong in the We Are One army. Fine by me.
Very nice.
And then I have a medal for you, which you can place over all any kind of picture. This is a VR1 medal, and you can place it on your pictures on social media
Wow.
or wherever you want to use. After this
Nice.
conversation ends, I'm going to add you on the Facebook group of World Beyond Borders. It's going to be a special group for all the people that I'm going to interview and people who want to network with the people who I want to interview and
Oh,
who
so
I
would that be recorded also? The session is being recorded, or it's just once?
session is being recorded. I'm once the we I end the broadcast, it's going to be uploaded on the YouTube and my Facebook page as well. That's why I've been asking people to subscribe, because the link is going to be online of the recorded session in a couple of hours, inshallah. So thank you so much, sir, for coming
Well,
once again, and thank you so much,
best
people,
of
for
luck.
watching. Thank you so much.
Best of
Thank you.
luck and Ramadan Mubarak once again. Thank you.
Same to you. Same to you. Allah Hafiz.
Bye.